Mic check, 1, 2. 1, 2, mic check. This is the morning announcements with Bomani Armah on July 17th, 2023. We are pouring libations for Ida B. Wells. We are checking out a poem from Omekongo, Dibinga, and we are listening to another poem by youth poet chimwekele Okoro from Words, Beats, and Life. Make sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe. Go to the video details for links to anything discussed in the show. Let's get started.
One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome everyone to the morning announcements. I'ma say my name so you can pronounce it. Bomani Armah. Shout out to early risers, I see who you are. My morning ritual, thanks for having me over. Start with audio visual dose of Sankofa. My favorite occasions a few moons away. I'm counting rotations to watermelon day. If you're with me this morning, I hope that you're with it. 2 things that I want and 3 ways to get it. Black solidarity, African independence. Honor the ancestors, prepare descendants. 3rd thing you gotta do is love right now. I mean that in every sense and every way you know how. Now throw them up and say what should increase on 1, 2, 3, peace.
Alright, let's do the mic. 2, 1, 2, mic check. Welcome to the morning announcements with Bomani Armah on Monday, July 17th, 2023. I am Bomani Armah, and we are 18 days away from Watermelon Day at Sankofa. We are here to honor the ancestors, prepare the descendants, and love right now. Make sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube. Shout out to my partners broadcasting the morning announcements, including Bloom Bars, Story Tapestries, and Sankofa Video and Books. Go to the link in the description to find out more. Friends, let's get started with our libations. Today's libation is for Ida B. Wells-Barnett. Ida B. Wells, July 16th, 1862 to March 25th, 1931, an American investigative journalist, educator, and early leader in the civil rights movement. She was one of the founders of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Wells dedicated her career to combating prejudice and violence and advocating for African-American equality, especially that of women. In the 1890s, Wells documented lynchings in the United States in articles through her pamphlets called Southern Horrors, Lynch Laws in All Its Phases, and the Red Record, investigating frequent claims of whites that lynchings were reserved for black criminals only. Wells exposed lynching as a barbaric practice used by whites in the South to intimidate and oppress African Americans. Let's read this quote from Ida B. Wells. The people must know before they can act, and there is no educator to compare with the press. Ida B. Wells. Let me read that again. The people must know before they can act, and there is no educator to compare with the press. Ida B. Wells. People must know before they act. They must be aware of what's going on. They must be awakened to the things they are sleeping about. They need to be woke. That's how we ended the scourge of lynching that Ida B. lived through. From her telling everyone, from her being an alarm clock for this sleeping nation that dismembers and incinerates black people in its dreams. The first step to saving the lives of the people from the white supremacists determined to extinguish them was knowledge and awareness. This is the same talent that Frederick Douglass had. This is why Ida B. Wells considered him a mentor. Thanks for being my favorite kind of educator, informing adults through the press. Friends, let's pour libation for Ida B. Wells. We never forget, so never fear. For homies who ain't here, we pouring out a beer. Because of you, it'll never be the same. We keep saying your name while we pour champagne. For the mothers and the father figures, your flames to flickers, we pouring out some liquor. We're the sons and the daughters of heroes and martyrs. Honor you by pouring out some water. Friends, today's libation is for Ida B. Wells. Thank you very much. I really appreciate y'all being here for the morning announcements. I really want to make sure Ida B. Wells gets her props. As y'all know, I do a lot of work around Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass wrote the foreword to several of her books. They used to correspond with each other, and I think she needs to get the same light shined on her as Frederick Douglass shined on him. She is the reason that lynching stopped. She had the courage and the gall to travel around the South and document these incidents as they were happening and informing everyone. On my road trips, I am listening to her autobiography. That is an amazing understanding of what it was like being a black woman at the time. Friends, what I want to do right now is share some clips of probably the modern day Ida B. Wells. She uses as her tag on social media, Ida Bay Wells. And I'm going to let her talk about Ida B. Wells a little bit for you, just to make sure we give this woman
from doing
her
the work
full
that I
due.
know is
Here we
right.
go.
But a clue to her unapologetic motivation can be found right here on her Twitter handle, Ida Bay Wells.
From the moment I pulled her autobiography off the shelf, I was hooked. And to this day, she's kind of my spiritual godmother.
That spiritual godmother is Ida B. Wells, the fearless 19th century newspaper publisher, suffragist, and anti-lynching campaigner who exposed the horrors of lynchings and enlightened those in denial.
Here's this woman born in slavery who provided the template for the type of journalism I wanted to do, the type of person I wanted to be. She was one of the nation's first investigative reporters. She's the reason that we began to catalog the number of lynchings.
In 2020, that lifetime of work earned Wells the prestigious Pulitzer Citation, the same year Jones earned her Pulitzer Prize for the 1619 Project. All of it placed her in the orbit of another Wells admirer, author Michelle Duster.
So this is the house that my great-grandparents lived in.
Duster took stories from her grandmother, Alfreda Barnett, Ida's youngest daughter, and penned the icon's latest biography, Ida B., the Queen.
What I love about your book is that you provide context.
I wanted younger people in particular to feel that when they're reading this book, this is not ancient history, but this is very relevant to what's going on today. Here we are dealing with some of the same struggles, so her work continues.
At Chicago's DuSable Museum of African American History, you can see pieces of her life on display.
What would she write here?
Well, she wrote the lynch law in Georgia, the Arkansas race riot pamphlet.
She was a prolific writer.
She couldn't help herself.
At 5 feet and 100 pounds, she's described as the epitome of determination. An orphan at 16, she raised her 4 younger siblings alone, became a Memphis schoolteacher, Chicago's first woman probation officer, and suffragist. But through it all, she was a newspaper woman whose voice was born out of tragedy.
She was out of town when her friends were lynched. That really did change the whole trajectory of her life. She decided to use it to expose the tragedy and the reality of what lynching was, and to encourage people to use their own level of power, which was economic power, to affect the white community. So she encouraged people to boycott white-owned businesses, boycott the streetcars. And she wrote about this in her diary, how some people in the lynch mob were part of the law enforcement. They were the sheriff, they were the attorneys, they were the judges. And she made that comment, over the course of time, and it's like, there's just no way we can get any justice.
Still, she tried, suing a Tennessee railroad for discrimination, taking on President Woodrow Wilson for segregating federal office spaces. She even integrated the Women's March on Washington for voting rights. All the while finding time to co-found a civil rights giant, the NAACP. All of that made her a target.
She was exiled from the city that she lived in, Memphis, for her reporting. Her newspaper was burned down, and she was basically threatened that she would be hurt if she came back home.
Which is why she lived for a while in Brooklyn, New York, and a street is named in her honor.
She spent her entire life refusing to be silenced, pushing back, and refusing to allow other people to write a script for her life. And that's what I've tried to do as well. I understand that it costs you.
Jones, who recently joined the staff of Howard University after a public tenure battle with the University of North Carolina, is unabashed.
Can you be a journalist and an activist today?
I get that question a lot.
The answer is simple for this journalist and professor who co-founded the Ida B. Wells Society for Investigative Reporting.
All journalism is activism. When you look at the motto of the Washington Post, right, democracy dies in darkness, that's not a neutral position, but our methods of reporting have to be objective. We have to try to be fair and accurate, and I don't know how you can be fair and accurate if you pretend publicly that you have no feelings about something that you clearly do.
Both women exemplifying courage and strength and
that was some of the modern day Ida B. Wells. Nicole Hannah doing her thing, giving props to Mama Ida B. Wells-Barnett. Thank you very much. I plan on doing more work on the topic. I really appreciate the fact that I can live in some relative freedom in America because of the work of Ida B. Wells. So once again, we are pouring libation for Ida B. Wells. All right. Now, friends, as you heard me announce earlier, we are now 18 days away from Watermelon Day. We want to see you at Watermelon Day, Saturday, August 5th, 2023, from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. It is our annual celebration of summertime, watermelon, and everything red, black, and green. There will be family-friendly performances, and there will be free watermelon. Find me at Sankofa Video and Books on August 5th. That's 2714 Georgia Avenue. If you want to plant a seed into Watermelon Day, go check out these shirts designed by Zudeka and James Terrell. For 15 years, we have been celebrating Watermelon Day, and this t-shirt helps commemorate this and plant a seed into this free program for the community. All right, now, friends, let's keep this moving. I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine and a colleague. I'm going to introduce you to his book, actually. Omekongo Dibinga. I have known him, I feel like, I guess it has to have been 20 years now. We met each other at the Blackout Arts Collective, which got together to bring light to artists, bringing light to the prison industrial complex. Since then, he has become a professor, a recording artist, a journalist, a book writer, because he wrote this book, Lies About Black People. He's a professor at American University. He is a stand-up brother. He speaks several languages. I'm about to bring him in so he can do his poem for us this morning. I want to give you an introduction to him, and then I'm going to try to sell you his book, because I really want to make sure that we support each other and that we make sure we understand the lies that the lies about Black people. So friends, this next poem is called Critical Racist Theory, and it's by Omekongo.
I guess we can't teach why Native Americans shed tears on that trail. I guess we can't teach why Native Americans shed tears on that trail. I guess we can't teach why Japanese Americans were interned in those camps and jailed. I guess we can't teach why Jews fleeing the Holocaust came to America and were forced to reverse sail. I guess we can't teach about those who had their rights stalled at Stonewall as they cried and wailed. Too many in America caught up in ignorance and denial. They'd rather have you forget history to learn about its tribulations and trials. They'd rather not teach you the history so white folks don't feel guilty. They think white kids will only see themselves as evil and filthy. But where were your laws when I was learning about me? When my history books taught that I only came from slavery? When my mathematics classes left out Black contributions? When my science classes left out our contributions to evolution? When my classes talked about America's hopes and intentions, but didn't lift my hopes when teaching me about Black inventions? You don't think I felt guilty like 3/5 of a man when y'all taught that I was only civilized when you brought me to this land? Nubia. But I ain't gonna be selfish. It ain't just my history dismissed, because I could talk about Latino, Asian, Indigenous, and Jewish, because y'all want to exclude the Chinese Exclusion Acts from the books. You don't want to know about all Latinos labeled as Chicanos and crooks. And though there are white just about terrorists who murder and hurt, you don't want to teach Islamic contributions. You don't want to teach about Native American soldiers present and past. But maybe at the end of the day, we're all fools, arguing about something that isn't even taught in schools. But to me, CRT ain't critical race theory. It's culturally relevant or culturally responsive teaching. Hear me? For teachers teaching and reaching for the truth, your efforts, I applaud it. For the rest of y'all, if you didn't want history taught, why did y'all record it? But I digress, because my faith in white students is stronger than yours. I know they can handle full history and all of its flaws. They can learn the evils of some white people because those evils were defeated. And when we teach them the history, they're inspired to never repeat it. I know that white kids aged 16 to 19 can handle 1619. Even white kids
Who truly is free? Some think themselves to be free, yet find a semblance of comfort in the captivity of others. They argue, they do not look like me, speak like me, think like me, but look at me. Who are we if we aren't our brother's keeper? Who are we if we desensitize ourselves from this collective anguish? Who are we if we aren't human? The earth groans from all the blood in its core. The sky shrieks from all the screams ignored. The mountains whisper their atrocities committed in secret. Nothing is hidden. The greatest weapon is separation, casting away connection by establishing castes to enforce discrimination. If we cannot lay down our arms and open our arms to one another, there is no possibility for unity. If we do not open our eyes to this disguise, this veil cannot be lifted. We must realize we are one. We are either together or separated. We are either free or confined. We are either alive or dead.
Man, I'm hitting you with some heavy stuff this morning. That is chimwekele. I appreciate the poetry. We have to continue fighting, because if we're not fighting, we're dead. This is all. I'm glad I chose the poems that I did today, because I feel like they're all in the spirit of Ida B. Wells, and her birthday was yesterday. Friends, that is our time. I'm going to end the program here. Hopefully, we'll come back tomorrow with no technical difficulties. When I end my program, there's only one thing left to do, and that is the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing by James Weldon Johnson and J. Rosamond Johnson. Let me play that now. Here we go. Friends, that was Lift Every Voice and Sing by James Weldon Johnson and J. Rosamond Johnson. That is my time. I apologize for the technical difficulties. I might come back and re-record today's episode and re-upload it, because I didn't want to mess up Omekongo's poem like that. Oh, but while I got you here, make sure you go to Omekongo's website. There are links in the description to go to the poem that he read. It will take you to his YouTube. It will take you to where you can find out more about his book called Lies About Black People. Friends, that is my time. There are 3 things that I want you to do today. Honor the ancestors, prepare the descendants, and love right now. At the count of 3, everybody say peace. I'll see y'all soon. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Peace.
Hold it now, melon is sweet. The water is life. So every time we meet, I'ma give you a slice, cause I'm the watermelon man. I'm the watermelon man. Got the juice and plant the seeds. I reap the fruit and give you what you need, cause I'm the watermelon man. I'm the watermelon man. It's the watermelon man, reppin' red, black, and green. The county of PG sends you greetings from